Rain poured endlessly across the Montana plains that night, the kind that blurred the edges of everything it touched. Inside the old ranch house, the widowed rancher, Luke, struggled to quiet his crying baby, little Emma. His late wife, Clara, had been gone only 3 months, and though he was known as a man of steel, tonight even his hands trembled as he rocked the child who refused to sleep. The loneliness of the night felt heavier than the storm outside. When a knock echoed on the wooden door, it startled him. Who would come to a ranch in the middle of nowhere at midnight? He hesitated, clutching Emma close, before slowly opening the door. Standing there was a drenched young woman, her face pale, her clothes torn by wind and mud. "Please, sir," she whispered, "I'm looking for work, or just a place to stay for the night." Her voice shook with exhaustion and fear. Luke's first instinct was caution. The world wasn't kind anymore, and a stranger showing up at this hour felt risky. But then Emma wailed again, her tiny fists curling against his chest, and the girl's eyes softened at the sound. "You've got a baby," she said quietly, her voice breaking. "Please, let me help. I know how to calm them." Something in her tone, gentle yet desperate, disarmed him. Without a word, he stepped aside and let her in. The warmth of the firelight revealed her face more clearly. She couldn't have been older than 20, with tangled hair and eyes that carried both pain and kindness. She introduced herself as Anna. Her hands trembled as she reached for Emma, but the moment she held the baby, the crying stopped. Luke stood in stunned silence, watching the miracle unfold. The baby who hadn't slept for nights was suddenly peaceful in a stranger's arms. Anna smiled faintly, whispering lullabies under her breath. The melody was hauntingly familiar, Clara's lullaby. Luke froze. How could she know that song? His throat tightened, and he asked softly, "Where did you learn that tune?" Anna looked up, startled, her lips parting as if to answer, but she hesitated. I don't remember where I heard it," she said finally, turning her gaze back to the baby. Luke didn't believe her, but he was too tired to push further. He gave her dry clothes and a blanket. She thanked him, curling up near the fireplace after laying Emma gently in her crib. As Luke watched her fall asleep beside the fire, a strange feeling tugged at him, something between trust and curiosity. There was something about Anna that didn't fit the picture she painted. The following morning, sunlight poured into the kitchen, and the smell of fresh bread filled the air. Luke entered, surprised to find Anna cooking breakfast, her sleeves rolled up, her hair neatly tied. "You didn't have to do all this," he said gruffly, but she only smiled. "You've got enough to handle, Mr. Luke. Let me help." For the first time in months, the house didn't feel like a tomb of memories, it felt alive again. Days turned into weeks, and Anna became part of the ranch's rhythm. She cleaned, cooked, helped with the animals, and cared for Emma as if she were her own. But Luke couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. Sometimes, he'd find her staring at an old photograph of Clara that hung on the wall, her expression unreadable. Once, he caught her humming that same lullaby again, tears silently running down her cheeks. One cold evening, while fixing the barn door, Luke heard distant shouting. He turned to see 2 men on horseback approaching fast. Their clothes were dirty, their eyes sharp. Anna saw them too, and the color drained from her face. "They've found me," she whispered, stepping back. Luke's brows furrowed. "Who are they?" But before she could answer, the men dismounted, yelling her name. "Anna, you can't run forever." Luke stepped between them and her, holding his ground. "You've got no business here," he warned, his voice low and firm. The taller man spat on the ground. "That girl stole from the wrong people. Hand her over, rancher." Anna's trembling hands clutched Emma's crib from behind him. "I didn't steal anything," she cried, her voice breaking. "They're lying." The storm that had begun the night she arrived now rumbled again on the horizon. Luke's instincts flared, protective, fierce. He didn't know who she really was, but something told him she wasn't the villain here. "You'll leave my land now," he said, hand hovering near the rifle by the door. The men exchanged dark looks but backed away. "We'll be back," one sneered. When they rode off, Anna collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Luke didn't press her for answers, he only wrapped a blanket around her shoulders and said quietly, "You're safe here." That night, when Emma slept soundly, Luke found Anna sitting on the porch, staring at the stars. "You don't have to tell me everything," he said, "but I need to know if danger's coming for my daughter." Anna wiped her tears and nodded. It's not about your daughter, sir. It's about me, and something I found before I came here. Her voice trembled, and Luke knew the truth was close. Something big, something that would change everything. Anna took a deep breath before speaking, her hands gripping the edge of the porch rail. I worked for a family in town, she began. They weren't kind people. Their son, he did terrible things, and when I tried to escape, they accused me of theft. I ran with nothing but the clothes on my back. I didn't take a cent, only something I couldn't leave behind. Luke's gaze darkened. What was it? He asked softly. She hesitated, then pulled a small locket from her pocket. Luke froze. It was Clarice. For a moment, the air left his lungs. Where did you get that? He demanded. Anna's eyes filled with tears. That's what I've been trying to tell you, she whispered. I found it near the creek weeks ago, beside a burned carriage. Inside it was a picture, of you, your wife, and a baby. I thought maybe it belonged to someone still alive, so I carried it with me. But those men, they saw it and thought it was gold. Her words shook, but her honesty pierced through his suspicion. Luke's chest tightened with emotion. He took the locket gently, opening it to see the faces that once defined his happiness. Clara's smile felt both close and far away. He looked at Anna again, realizing that fate had led her to his door for a reason. You risked your life for something that wasn't even yours, he said quietly. No, sir, she murmured, I risked it because I thought maybe it would lead me somewhere safe. The next morning, the men returned. Their threats were louder this time, their anger burning. Luke had prepared, though, he'd sent word to the sheriff. When the riders reached the yard, rifles drawn, they were met by the sound of approaching hooves. Within minutes, the lawmen surrounded the ranch. The thugs tried to flee, but justice caught up fast. When it was over, Luke found Anna holding Emma tightly, shaking. It's over, he said, placing a hand on her shoulder. You're safe now. Weeks passed, and life on the ranch slowly returned to peace. Anna laughed more often, her eyes brighter, her steps lighter. Emma adored her, giggling every time Anna sang to her. And Luke, he found himself smiling again. But one afternoon, as Anna was feeding the horses, she found an old letter tucked inside one of Clara's recipe books. The paper was worn, the handwriting familiar. It was addressed to, whoever finds her locket. She hesitated before bringing it to Luke. Together they read it. Clara's words spoke from beyond time. If someone finds this, it means I didn't make it home. But know this, our child, Emma, must grow surrounded by kindness. Whoever helps her deserves a place in our hearts. Tears blurred Luke's vision. He looked at Anna, and she wiped her eyes too. It feels like she already knew you'd come, he whispered. From that day, the ranch began to feel like home again. The walls no longer echoed with sorrow, instead, laughter filled the spaces where grief once lingered. Luke started teaching Anna how to ride, how to mend fences, how to care for the cattle. She learned fast, fearless and free. The townsfolk began to notice the change too. The widowed rancher who once spoke little now smiled when Anna walked beside him. One spring morning, Luke found Anna sitting with Emma by the wildflowers, weaving tiny crowns of petals. The sight filled his chest with warmth he hadn't felt in years. You've given her back her smile, he said softly. Anna looked up, shyly brushing her hair back. She gave me one first. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, something fragile but real. As months turned into seasons, the bond between them deepened. Luke tried to ignore it, fearing what people might say, but love has its own quiet way of breaking through. One night, under a sky full of stars, he finally spoke. You came here with nothing, he said, his voice steady. But you gave us everything back. Anna's eyes glistened as she replied, you gave me a reason to stay. A year later, the ranch held its first harvest celebration since Clara's passing. Music filled the fields, neighbors gathered, and lanterns flickered in the wind. Anna wore a simple white dress that fluttered in the evening breeze. Emma ran between them, laughing, her tiny hands full of wildflowers. Luke looked at the two of them, his heart finally at peace. As the sun set behind the golden hills, Luke took Anna's hand in front of everyone and whispered, you knocked on my door that night asking for work, but you gave me a family instead. She smiled, her eyes bright with tears. The crowd cheered softly as he kissed her hand, Emma clapping between them. The rancher's house, once silent with loss, now glowed with laughter, love, and life again. And somewhere beyond the whispering wind, it felt as though Clara's spirit smiled, too, grateful that love had found its way home once more.